Günter Schlierkamp, the German giant who shook Olympus. In the glitzy, adrenaline-soaked world of professional bodybuilding, few stories are as jaw-dropping, unexpected, and awe-inspiring as that of Günter Schlierkamp, the smiling titan from Germany who once did the unthinkable, slayed the king, nicknamed the Gentle Giant. Günter's charm was disarming, but make no mistake, beneath that million-dollar smile was a warrior forged in pain, discipline, and sheer iron will. At 6 feet 1 inch and nearly 300 pounds in his prime, Gunter wasn't just big, he was colossal, towering over most competitors with a physique carved like granite. He was the kind of man who didn't just walk on stage. He arrived, and every head turned. But his journey wasn't all lights and cheers. It was forged in the quiet brutality of cold German winters, lifting in dimly lit gyms with more rust than chrome. Born in the small village of Olfen, North Rhine-Westphalia, in 1970, Gunter discovered bodybuilding as a teenager, inspired by the same Austrian oak that influenced generations, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Gunter wasn't just inspired, he obsessed. He trained like a man possessed. While other kids partied, Gunter squatted until his legs gave out. He deadlifted pain. He bench-pressed failure. By 1993, he turned pro, and many expected his star to rise quickly. But Gunter's early pro years were a grind. He was often overlooked, too tall, too smooth, too nice in a sport filled with hardened, scowling gladiators. In an era dominated by freaks and monsters, Gunter was the underdog. He competed, but never cracked the top spots at Mr. Olympia. Until 2002, the year everything changed. Las Vegas, the Mandalay Bay Events Center, 2002 Olympia. The crowd roared as Ronnie Coleman, the 8-time Mr. Olympia, stepped on stage. Ronnie was a force of nature, an unshakable juggernaut who had bulldozed every rival for years. Fans and judges alike assumed it would be another routine coronation. But then came Gunter, and when he hit that front lat spread, jaws dropped. It wasn't just size, it was proportion, conditioning, presence. He looked like a human statue carved by the gods of war. The crowd lost it. Every pose earned screams. Every flex drew chants of his name. Gunter, Gunter. Suddenly, Ronnie's dominance didn't seem so ironclad. Though Ronnie was ultimately awarded the win, a decision that caused an uproar, the aftershocks were immediate and deafening. The fans had spoken. The media erupted. Message boards lit up. For the first time, people seriously questioned Ronnie's supremacy. Even Ronnie himself looked shaken backstage. The king had been rattled, but Gunter wasn't done. Just weeks later, at the 2002 GNC Show of Strength, in one of the most shocking upsets in bodybuilding history, Günter Schlierkamp did the impossible. He defeated Ronnie Coleman on the scorecards. Read that again. He beat Ronnie Coleman. In a sport where underdogs rarely win, Gunter delivered a titanic blow to the unbreakable legend. The win sent shockwaves through the IFBB. Gunter went from that tall German guy to a global bodybuilding icon overnight. He wasn't just a competitor now, he was a giant slayer. But what made Gunter's triumph even more legendary was the man himself. He never let the fame get to his head. Always humble, always respectful, Gunter became a fan favorite, not just because of his physique, but because of his heart. He smiled when others grimaced. He shook hands when others snarled. He represented the purest essence of bodybuilding: hard work, honor, and humility. Despite never winning the Mr. Olympia title, Gunter's legacy is carved in stone. He placed in several Olympias afterward, always a crowd pleaser, always respected. But as the sport evolved into an even freakier arms race, Gunter began to transition away from the stage. He moved into acting, made appearances in films like Beerfest, and remained deeply embedded in the fitness world. He inspired thousands, mentored newcomers, and kept spreading the fire of his story. A story that reminds every lifter out there that you don't need to be crowned to be a king. Günter Schlierkamp's career wasn't just about muscles. It was about moments. That moment in 2002, when he stared down the most dominant bodybuilder in history and said, with his physique, "Not today." That moment when the entire audience, judges be damned, knew who the real winner was. That moment when a man who had been doubted for years stood victorious, not just over Ronnie, but over every whisper of not good enough that had haunted his journey. In a sport often marred by politics, controversy, and cutthroat rivalries, Gunter stood out as the people's champion. His story reminds us that greatness isn't just about gold medals or first-place trophies. Sometimes, greatness is about one perfect moment, when a man stands on stage, defies the odds, and shakes the heavens. In a world dominated by titans like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler, there was one man who shook the earth beneath the IFBB stage, a German juggernaut with size, symmetry, and a smile that masked the ferocity within. His name? Günter Schlierkamp. But his story isn't one of sustained glory. No, it's a tale of hope, defiance, betrayal, and the crushing silence that followed. Welcome to the shocking and dramatic saga of the man many called the Gentle Giant, but who could have been king. Born in the shadows of iron, Günter Schlierkamp was born in a small town in Germany in 1970, far from the blinding lights of the Olympia stage. While other kids played football or chased dreams of normalcy, Gunter chased muscle. At just 16, he had the kind of mass and symmetry that hinted at greatness. He wasn't just lifting weights. He was forging a body that would soon go toe-to-toe with the best in the world. By the mid-90s, Gunter had arrived in America, chasing the American dream with nothing but iron in his hands and fire in his veins. But in a world dominated by legends like Dorian Yates, Kevin Levrone, and Sean Ray, Gunter was just another big guy with a pretty face. Until 2002, the night the giant struck.
Like, share, and subscribe. Fitness motivation.